We have a principle in halacha known as Shomeah ke'ona. Shomeah ke'ona means that sometimes when I listen to somebody else, it's as if I'm speaking myself. For example, when it comes to Kiddush, when it comes to Havdalah, even though we each are obligated in those mitzvos, so I might think that each and every one of us has to do that mitzvah. However, we have a principle, Shomeah ke'ona, that when I listen to someone else and we each have in mind to fulfill my obligation, then that would be sufficient for me to listen to someone else's Kiddush, to someone else's Havdalah. I don't have to necessarily do it on my own. The question posed is, does that apply to Sefira as well? That is a machlokas in the Rishonim already, whether one can simply fulfill their obligation by listening to someone else count or not. And that machlokas comes all the way down through the poskim. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that each one has a personal obligation. Every person has a personal obligation to count Sefira Sa'omer. The Mishnah Berurah picks up on that and says that that means that we cannot fulfill the obligation through Shomeah ke'ona, through listening to somebody else, as opposed to Kiddush and Havdalah. That's because of the special pasuk written in the Torah, Usfartem lochem, that the Torah implies that every person should do their own counting. The Mishnah Berurah does quote a dissenting opinion that comes in the Rishonim, and he quotes a number of sources for this that actually suggests that no, maybe one could fulfill the obligation even of Sefira through Shomeah ke'ona. In the Bir Halacha, he writes that therefore one should be machmir, one should try, and this is clearly the minhag today, that we try to count ourselves, and we don't rely on listening to someone else. However, if we heard it from someone else and we had intent to listen from someone else, then to fulfill our mitzvah, and they had intent to fulfill our obligation, then perhaps because there are some Rishonim already who suggest that one would be Yotzei, says the Bir Halacha, in such a case, one should go back and count without a bracha in deference to those Rishonim. One other important point is that the Mishnah Berurah points out that this specifically applies to the actual counting of the Sefira, the day, Hayom, Shnei Masar Yom, whatever the day is, that's what we're talking about. However, when it comes to the bracha, that for sure one could fulfill through listening to someone else, which is why oftentimes it's suggested that if one misses a day of counting, that they listen to the bracha of someone else and then they go ahead and count on their own. Because certainly one could fulfill their bracha by listening to someone else, even though he does write that the minhag is that everyone makes their own bracha and does their own counting. But from a pure halachic standpoint, one could fulfill their bracha from listening to someone else. But the Sefira itself is more a matter of debate, and therefore we try very hard to make sure we each count our own counting with the bracha as much as possible to the best of our ability. If one forgets, that could be a topic for another discussion. Have a great day.